Joining us now is Dr. Andre Campbell. He's a professor of surgery and vice chair for diversity, equity, and inclusion at UC San Francisco School of Medicine. Dr. Andre, good to see you this morning. Thank you for being with us. It is altogether too early to have gotten you up for the show, but we're so deeply appreciative because this is coming into sharp relief that we have two separate problems. One of them is the hesitancy among communities of color, particularly amongst black communities, because of real historical things that were done to them that are causing fear. The other one, like I was talking to Dr. Ayla Stanford about in Philadelphia, is that while there's hesitancy to overcome, she and the Black Doctors Consortium there can use every last drop of vaccine they're given because lots of black people want the vaccine.
Well, yes, you've certainly got several great points. The first thing, good morning, Ali. Good to see you again. Thank you for having me on. That's the first thing. So there is several issues. So I think the first thing I'll start off with is that there was no national policy for distributing vaccines prior to in the prior administration. So that's the first thing. So there's access, there's distribution, there's structural racism involved. So as of today, there's been 27 million vaccines given out. It's about the same number of people who have been infected in the United States, but there is a small proportion of Latinx, African American patients, Native American, who are disproportionately affected by hospitalizations, 3 times the rate of hospitalization for Black and Latinx folks, 3 times the number of deaths. So it's important to get vaccine in the arms of people who need it. So yes, it is true that there's problems related to structural racism, access to care, and so forth. But it is important that right now we say the people who need to get vaccinated are not getting vaccinated, and we have a national problem based on the data you just said from the CDC and other sources.
And ultimately, once this is over, we need to fix that larger problem. Dr. Fauci was talking to my friend Ari Melber last night on The Beat about it. Let's listen to what he said.
There is this disparity in inequity now and has been in our society. It's something in the long range. If we get this taken care of and behind us, let us remember and not forget the disparities in health that we have to address, because it's going to take a decade-long effort to do it.
Yeah, a decade-long effort to do it if we actually admit it, Dr. Campbell. This is something you and I have talked about for a long time, that irrespective of failures with testing and failures currently with vaccinating and dealing with it in an equitable fashion, no one is surprised that this is unequitable because everything else about the health system is unequitable.
That's absolutely true. So, and we have talked about this, is that there's been disparities in outcomes for years in healthcare for African Americans, Latinx, for respect to cancer, trauma. So you name it. There's recently been some data on obstetrics and gynecology and outcomes with patients, but we have to understand, acknowledge that there's a difference, so that this difference was just amplified by COVID-19. So the difference has been there for many years. It was written about, we know about it, but this is a structural problem in our society where this disparity, it just keeps repeating itself, and we need to work on this. So this is sort of something that's important. Things that we can do among African-American populations, make sure that we get the word out. You just saw the video where I took the vaccine and I did it safely. There was no problems. I had a little soreness in the arm. But then, so role modeling, making sure we address the vaccine hesitancy. This is a real issue, right? People are scared and they're nervous. They don't want to be an experiment because of prior issues related to the African-American community related to that. We need to get the word out that it's safe. It'll keep you out of the hospital. 95% efficacy for the 2 vaccines. We just got the Johnson & Johnson vaccine is being considered by the FDA. If it comes out, 1 shot will keep you out of the hospital so you don't die. I know people who've died from it. You probably know people who've died from it. California is beginning. Yep. It's going to overtake New York with deaths from COVID.
Dr. Campbell, we are hopefully closer to the end of this than we are to the beginning, but boy, what a thing we're fighting. Dr. Campbell, thank you always for joining me. I appreciate it, and I appreciate how early it is for you. Dr. Campbell is an ICU doctor and a trauma surgeon at Zuckerberg San Francisco General Hospital.